Welcome back to day 7 of Scolimas. Today we're going to be working on the lunge. So this might not be everyone's cup of tea, especially if you have knee pain, but it's still something worth listening and maybe trying one day. The lunge is a really common exercise that you're going to get in the gym, and there's definitely a couple of things that we can think about with our scoliosis. Lunging can be done in so many different ways. I'm just going to do a reverse lunge today, try and keep it nice and simple. And it's going to be really good for building your leg strength. It's a knee dominant movement, which means it's primarily working your quads, but it will be working your core, your back muscles as well. It's another compound movement, getting a lot of different muscle groups working together, which I love. Having strong legs, really useful for things like walking, or maybe going upstairs, or getting up and down from your chair. All these kind of things that we do every single day that building strength is going to be so helpful with, especially when we have scoliosis, and to help protect our beautiful curvy spines. I have a dowel or a broom or a mop or something that you can find around the house to help us a little bit of support, and we're going to do our dowel elongation again today, so that's going to be useful for that, but it's not totally necessary, especially if you've done lunges before. Okay, let's dive right on into it. The dowel is for balance, and you could also use a chair or a wall or something else to hold on to, just to help you with your balance, because these single leg movements kind of throw us off a little bit. So I always want you to think about your standing scoliosis corrections first. Just try to bring yourself into your best version of alignment. We're going to do a reverse lunge, and I'm going to have the dowel in my right hand. I'm going to have my left leg stable, and my right leg is going to be lunging back. My left hand is going to come onto my hip, and I'm going to use my left hand on my hip and my right hand on the dowel to help lengthen through the spine as much as possible. Engaging your core muscles, making sure that the arch of the left foot and the knee on the left foot don't collapse inward. That's a big one. That is a big one. We've got to try and keep that left knee tracking over the toe. So we're going to go all together, and we're going to do 6, and then we're going to switch sides. I'm going to lunge this right leg back, and then we bend into both knees. And you're trying to keep your weight through your front leg as much as possible. And you're getting roughly 90-degree angles between your ankles, knees, and hips. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just doing your best. What we don't want to see is this knee tracking way over the front of this toe and this heel coming up. Foot stays firmly down on the ground, weight through this front leg, and then we stand back up, back into that standing scoliosis correction. We lunge back, same leg. Knees come down as low to the ground as you can, and then back up. Keep an eye on this front knee and make sure it's not caving in, and that the arch of your foot is not caving in. We have to really keep control of that. Use the dowel to help you lower down and come back up. We're going to do 2 more on this side. You're going to feel that front leg muscle, maybe even your front glute muscle working. And then I'm going to switch sides. So I'm going to put the dowel in the other hand. I'm going to take my right hand to my hip. Start nice and long, engage your tummy muscles, and then lunging back. And as we go on this side, let's just discuss our scoliosis quickly. So especially if you have a lumbar curve, you might have a tendency to want to rotate one hip. For example, your left hip rotating back as you step your left leg back. That is something to be aware of. So we want to keep both hips facing forward towards your front, and trying not to let either hip rotate backwards. I'm going to do 2 more on this side. Another thing to think about is your hip hiking up. For example, your right hip might want to hike up towards your rib cage. And we just need to be aware of that, trying to keep space between your hip and your ribs, especially if you know that you have one hip that is higher that wants to dip in, or you have a lumbar concave space because that hip might want to dip up towards the rib cage. Maybe that was 3 more lunges. And then I'm going to push down into the dowel. So we're going to bring the dowel out in front, in between your feet, and you're going to push down and lengthen your spine as much as you can. Oh, feels nice. Big deep breaths. Maybe protract your shoulder blades a little bit. Think of pulling the dowel or the broom apart. I don't know if I chopped my feet out of that first clip, so if I did, I'm sorry. But anyway, my feet are definitely in it this time. So we're going to go again. So I'm going to have the dowel in my right hand, weight through my left foot, lengthen through the spine as much as possible. And then we're going to lunge back on that right leg, drop the knees down, keep the weight through your front left leg. Make sure that the left hip doesn't hike up towards the left rib cage and that that right hip doesn't rotate backwards. We want to keep control of our scoliosis. And then standing back up into that lengthened position. We're going 6 times on each side. Think about your arches of your feet, not letting that collapse in, and trying to keep your front knee tracking over your toes. Going to do 2 more on this side. 1 more on this side. And then I'm going to put the dowel in my left hand, right hand on my hip. Push down, get long through the spine, weight through this right leg, and then I'm going to step this left leg back. Not letting the right hip hike up towards the ribs or the left hip rotate backwards. And just trying to keep yourself as centered as possible. Maybe do this in front of a mirror as well, because another thing is that your hip might want to shift off laterally to the side. So we have to just be aware of that. And always just trying to keep ourselves as centered as possible. I'm going to do 2 more. 1 more. And then I'm going to bring the dowel back to center. Push down. And lengthen and breathe. Decompress your spine. Lift your head up towards the ceiling, thinking ears behind shoulders. One more deep breath. And then I'm going to do it 1 more time. But I'm going to put the dowel to the side. I'm going to do it with my hands on my hips. But please do use the dowel if you need help with balance. It's really, really helpful for that and to help keep the length in the spine. Hands on the hips can also help keep length in the spine. Like I mentioned before, if you push your hands down, it creates that lift. Okay, getting ready. Last time. I'm going to go left leg forward, right leg back, making sure both hips stay facing forward towards the front. And then I'm not letting one hip hike up or shift off to the side. And then just repeating that one. All the weight, or 80% of the weight at least, is through this front leg. I'm going to do 2 more on this side. Ooh. And then I'm going to go straight over to the other side. So weight through my right leg and then coming back. Up and down. Good. Bending into both knees. Weight through that front leg. Trying to keep yourself as centered as possible. And you might notice one leg feels more stable than the other. That's also part of it. Maybe it's good to do a couple more reps on the side that feels weaker or less stable. I'm going to do 1 more on the side. Oof. Good. And then I'm going to finish off with my dowel. And bringing that right in between my feet. Pushing down and just getting a nice big stretch for my spine. Lift and lengthen. Two more deep breath. Can you push a little bit more? Get a tiny little bit taller. And then, whew, relax. Good, well done, my beautiful scoliosis friend. I know lunges, again, aren't the easiest, especially for beginners, especially if you have knee pain. So again, don't beat yourself up if you found that really difficult. It's hard, but it's a good thing to learn. If you do really struggle, again, seek professional help, get a trainer, even if it's just for one session, to try and help you with that. If you notice that your knees are caving in, that your arches are caving in, that's a big sign that you need to work on your glute medius strength and the strength of your feet. And we have a word for the competition, which is gifts. So write that one down, add it with the other one. You gotta be in it to win it. Well done, my beautiful scoliosis friend, and I'll see you tomorrow.